The massive crystalline doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with an ominous hum. Admiral Thomas Rivera, the lone human representative, walked forward on legs that felt like lead. His footsteps echoed through the cavernous hall as thousands of alien eyes tracked his movement, some curious, most hostile. The semicircular chamber rose hundreds of feet above him, with tiered seating for over 2,000 species representatives. Bioluminescent lighting cast an eerie blue glow across the diverse gathering of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Some delegates appeared humanoid. Others were utterly alien gaseous entities contained in specialized suits, crystalline beings that refracted the light, and massive tentacled creatures requiring gravity modifiers to attend. At the center stood the High Council, 7 ancient species who had ruled galactic affairs for millennia. Their leader, Grand Arbiter Valxor, towered at 15 feet tall, skin like polished obsidian and eyes that burned with the wisdom and arrogance of a civilization 10,000 years beyond humanity's achievements. Humanity stands accused. Valxor's voice boomed without visible movement of his face, the telepathic message landing directly in Rivera's mind. You have expanded beyond your authorized sectors. You have developed technologies deemed restricted by concordant law. You have made unauthorized contact with 17 developing species. Rivera remained composed despite the crushing pressure. The fate of Earth hung on his next words. The charges against humanity are true, Rivera admitted, causing a ripple of murmurs through the chamber. Several council members exchanged surprised glances. They expected denial. But our violations stem from necessity, not malice. He activated a holographic display from his wrist device. The projection expanded to show evidence of an unknown threat at the galaxy's edge. Strange energy readings, vanishing outposts, distress signals abruptly cut off. While the Council debated protocol, humans acted. The technologies we developed were to counter this. The hologram shifted to show a specialized defense system. We call it the Nexus Shield. Valxor's eyes narrowed. You dare justify your crimes with unverified threats? Verify them yourselves, Rivera challenged, stepping forward. Or explain why 17 Council monitoring stations in the Outer Rim have gone silent in the past solar cycle. A hushed silence fell over the chamber. Rivera could see the fear behind Valxor's eyes, and the Council already knew. Humanity has always been problematic, another Council member spoke, a serpentine creature named Drell. Perhaps this evidence is manufactured to escape judgment. Rivera stood his ground. Test us then. Send your best telepaths. Examine our minds. The threat is real, and we're the only ones who've successfully fought it. The silence stretched as the Council members communicated privately. Finally, Valxor spoke. The judgment stands. For the protection of galactic stability, humanity is hereby exiled from all Council space. You have one standard cycle to retreat to your home system. You will remain quarantined there until the Council deems otherwise. Any human vessel found beyond these boundaries will be destroyed without warning. Rivera's face remained stoic, but inside, his mind raced. This was expected, or in fact, it was the plan all along. We accept your judgment, he said simply, then added with quiet confidence that sent a chill through the chamber. You'll remember this day, Arbiter, not as the day you contained humanity, but as the day you set us free. The journey back to Earth was tense. Rivera sat alone in his quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel Peacekeeper, reviewing the Council's official exile decree. The document was formal, cold, and absolute. Humanity was to be contained within the Sol system, forbidden from all contact with other civilizations. Captain Lyra Martinez knocked on his door. Admiral, we're approaching Earth. The Security Council is waiting for your report. Rivera nodded. Thank you, Captain. Any reactions from our people yet? Mixed, sir. Riots have broken out in New Beijing and Atlanta. But strangely, there are celebrations in other cities. Not strange at all, Rivera said with a slight smile. Some understand what this truly means. The landing at Geneva International Spaceport was met with a swarm of reporters and protesters. Rivera moved through the chaos with military precision, flanked by security, ignoring the shouted questions about humanity's fate. In the underground chamber of the United Earth Security Council, 24 leaders from Earth's major regions waited. President Anna Markov stood as Rivera entered. Admiral, please tell me you have better news than what's coming through official channels, she said. Madam President, distinguished counselors, Rivera began, As expected, the Galactic Council has ordered our complete exile. We are confined to our solar system effective immediately. The room erupted in outrage. They can't enforce this, shouted the African Union representative. Actually, they can, Rivera replied calmly. Their technology is centuries beyond ours in many areas. But not all areas. He activated the room's holographic system. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, with Earth's position marked in blue and Council territory in red. What was striking was the vast expanses of white unmapped, unclaimed space. The Council controls approximately 18% of the galaxy, Rivera explained. They've systematically kept younger species like ours confined to small territories, preventing expansion through bureaucracy and threats. But they lack the resources to monitor the entire galaxy, so we're free to expand. Elsewhere? Asked the Eurasian representative. Precisely, Rivera nodded. Operation Exodus can now begin. President Markov's expression turned serious. Dr. West, please join us. A door at the side of the chamber opened, and a woman in her 50s entered. Dr. Eleanor West, Earth's leading expert in quantum physics, carried herself with quiet confidence. The Nexus shield technology that so alarmed the Council was only the surface of what we've developed, West explained. For 30 years, we've been preparing for either alliance or exile. Since they chose exile, we activate Plan B. The hologram shifted to show massive ships under construction in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. Colony ships, West continued, each capable of sustaining 50,000 humans for a decade-long journey. Their engines use technology the Council doesn't possess, something they would have eventually detected, which is partly why they exiled us now. How many ships? Asked the North American representative. 117, Rivera answered. Nearly 6 million colonists ready to depart. The first wave leaves in 6 months. You've been planning this for decades, the South American counselor realized. This wasn't a diplomatic failure. You provoked the exile deliberately. Rivera and West exchanged glances. Not deliberately, Rivera clarified. But we recognized 20 years ago that the Council was designed to control, not cooperate. They've been suppressing technological advancement across the galaxy for millennia. The Nexus shield wasn't just a defense system, it was a test to see how they'd react to a species approaching their level of technology. And they reacted by exiling us. President Markov concluded. Yes, West said, because they fear what humans might become. What the Council doesn't understand, Rivera added, is that humanity thrives under pressure. Their exile doesn't end our story 1-0. It begins our true expansion. In the weeks that followed, riots eventually subsided as the full scope of Operation Exodus was revealed to the public. The massive colony ships hidden in construction facilities throughout the asteroid belt and Jupiter's moons were brought to Earth orbit one by one. Volunteers for colonization came forward by the millions, far more than the ships could accommodate. Dr. West worked tirelessly at the Lunar Research Station, finalizing the navigation systems for the Exodus fleet. The technology used principles that the Council's science had overlooked, allowing faster-than-light travel without detection by standard Council monitoring systems. We'll be ghost to them, she explained to Rivera during his inspection of the facility. Moving through spaces they consider impossible to navigate. And the threat? Rivera asked quietly, making sure they weren't overheard. The real reason we developed the Nexus shield. West's expression darkened. Still out there, growing. The Council knows but won't admit it publicly. It would cause panic and undermine their authority. They've been sacrificing outer colonies to it for centuries, and we're heading right toward it, Rivera realized. Not toward it, West corrected. Around it. We'll establish our colonies in a wide arc, creating a buffer zone between it and Council space. When it finally breaks through to their territory, they'll have to come to us for help, Rivera finished. Exactly, West nodded. Exile isn't our punishment. It's our opportunity. On the day the first colony ship, New Horizon, was set to depart, President Markov addressed the world. Today marks not an end, but a beginning. The Galactic Council sought to contain us, to limit human potential. Instead, they have freed us from their restrictions. We will build our own future among the stars on our terms. We will explore, discover, and grow in ways the Council fears. And one day they will understand that humanity cannot be contained or ours only unleashed. As the massive ship rose from Earth with a thunderous roar, Rivera stood on the observation deck of Lunar Command, watching humanity's future depart. His secure communicator chimed. A message from a source deep within Council. The colony ship New Horizon cut through the darkness of uncharted space, its massive engines leaving a faint blue trail visible only to specialized sensors. Captain Jaden Wilson stood at the command center viewport, watching as the stars streaked past. 5 years had passed since humanity's exile, and the first wave of the Exodus fleet had traveled farther than any human vessel before. Status report, Wilson called out, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. 600,000 souls rested in her hands, the largest concentration of humans ever to leave Earth. Lieutenant Raj Patel responded from the navigation station. We're approaching the Arcturus Void, Captain. Uncharted territory, completely outside Council records. Perfect, Wilson replied. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with focused intensity. None of them had been born when Operation Exodus was first conceived, but all had volunteered knowing they might never see Earth again. The ship's XO, Commander David Ortiz, approached with a data tablet. Latest deep scans are troubling, Captain. We're picking up energy signatures similar to those Admiral Rivera showed the Council years ago. Wilson studied the readings, her expression grim. The threat is expanding faster than we anticipated. Contact the other colony vessels. Tell them to maintain distance from these coordinates. There's something else, Ortiz said quietly, moving closer so only Wilson could hear. Long-range sensors detected a damaged vessel at the edge of the void. Non-human, non-Council design. Wilson's head snapped up. First contact? Out here? Appears so. And from the energy readings, they're running from something. Alert status, but keep it quiet. I don't want to panic the colonists, Wilson ordered. Adjust our course to intercept, and have Dr. Reiko's first contact team standing by. The New Horizon altered its trajectory slightly, its massive bulk moving with surprising grace for a vessel carrying an entire city's worth of people. Most of the colonists remained in their living quarters, unaware that humanity was about to encounter another species far from any known civilization. As they approached the damaged vessel, Wilson ordered all non-essential systems powered down. Let's not announce our presence too loudly, she explained to her officers. The alien ship came into visual range, a striking contrast to human vessels. Where New Horizon was angular and practical, this ship was curved in ways that seemed to defy conventional engineering, with a crystalline surface that reflected starlight in hypnotic patterns. Sections of its hull were torn open, revealing internal damage. Life signs? Wilson asked. Faint but present, reported Dr. Amara Reiko, head of xenobiology. Atmosphere appears methane-based, definitely not compatible with ours. Can we communicate? The ship is broadcasting a repeating signal. Our AI translators can't make sense of it yet, but the pattern suggests distress. Wilson made her decision. Prepare a team for remote boarding, environment suits, full quarantine protocols. I want to know what they're running from. 4 hours later, Wilson stood in the secure communications room, watching the live feed from the boarding team. The alien vessel's interior was bathed in dim purple light. The architecture was unlike anything in Council records, Kraunk's organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid, with technology that appeared to merge seamlessly with the structure itself. Dr. Reiko's voice came through the comm. Captain, we've located survivors, approximately 30 individuals. They appear to be in some form of stasis. The camera panned to show translucent pods containing bipedal beings with iridescent skin and elongated limbs. Their faces had no obvious eyes, but instead featured sensory organs that covered much of their upper bodies. Any sign of what attacked them? Wilson asked. No direct evidence, but we found this. The camera moved to show a holographic recording. The image was distorted but clearly showed something dark and amorphous consuming part of a planet's surface. Based on the ship's logs are what we can understand of the Mao their homeworld was. Absorbed. They're refugees. Wilson felt a chill. That matches the threat Rivera warned about. Download everything you can from their databases. When the boarding team returned, they brought with them one of the alien pods at Dr. Reiko's insistence. Their stasis systems are failing. If we leave them, they'll die. Over the next several days, the xenobiology team worked to establish communication with the aliens, who called themselves the Tauri. Their language relied heavily on color shifts and subtle vibrations, making translation challenging. However, they proved to be highly intelligent and quickly began learning human communication methods. The Tauri representative, who took the name Lumen when speaking with humans, revealed their story through a combination of crude English and holographic displays. Our worlds are 3 planets, 16 moons are gone, Lumen explained, its skin rippling with dark purple patterns that the translation team recognized as expressions of grief. The consuming comes from between spaces. Council knows, Council watches, does nothing. The Galactic Council knew about this threat? Wilson asked. Many cycles. They sacrifice outer worlds to keep it slow. Your kin, our humans, you saw truth. That is why Council fears. Wilson exchanged glances with her officers. How did you survive? We navigate the spaces between. Our gift. Council wanted this power, but we refused to join. They abandoned us when the consuming came. The implications were staggering. The Tauri possessed natural abilities to navigate space in ways humans had only achieved through advanced technology. The same technology that had alarmed the Council. As Wilson prepared to report this development to Earth, the ship's security chief, Major Irene Foster, requested an urgent meeting. We have a problem, Foster said without preamble when they met in Wilson's private quarters. I've identified a group of colonists who've been accessing restricted communications equipment. They've been sending transmissions toward Council space. Wilson's blood ran cold. Informants? Here? Worse. Saboteurs. I believe they're part of the Terran conciliation movement, those who think humanity should have accepted Council rule for protection. How many? At least 20 that we've identified. But they're smart, are using coded messages embedded in routine transmissions. What are they planning? Foster's expression was grim. Based on what we've intercepted, they believe bringing the Tauri to the Council as a peace offering might end our exile. They're planning to take control of the alien pod and a shuttle. Wilson didn't hesitate. Lock down all shuttle bays, double the guards on the Tauri. I want these saboteurs found and contained without alarming the general population. The next day, as the New Horizon continued its journey deeper into uncharted space, Foster's security team moved to arrest the suspected saboteurs, but they had underestimated their opponents. A firefight broke out in Habitation Sector 7, resulting in several injuries and one of the saboteurs accessing an emergency beacon. Captain, they've activated a high-powered transmission, Lieutenant Patel reported urgently. It's directed toward the nearest Council monitoring station. Wilson's mind raced through options, none of them good. Can we jam it? Too late. Signal already sent. What did it contain? Patel's face was pale as he read the decoded transmission. Our coordinates, heading, and details about the Tauri. They've told the Council we're harboring a species with restricted spatial navigation abilities. Wilson slammed her fist on the console. How long before Council enforcement vessels could reach us? At their top speed. 4 days. Wilson turned to Commander Ortiz. Prepare the colonists for immediate cryo-freeze. We're accelerating our timeline. To where? Ortiz asked. We haven't located a suitable planet yet. Wilson activated the main display, showing sensor readings from the ship's long-range probes. There, the Epsilon system. 3rd planet shows viable conditions. And there's something else, our energy readings unlike anything we've seen. If Dr. West's theories are correct, those energy patterns could power a nexus shield large enough to protect an entire solar system. That's a desperate move, Ortiz warned. We don't know if that planet can sustain us long-term. We're out of options, Wilson replied. If Council vessels find us, they'll destroy this ship and everyone on it. We need to establish a foothold areas now. Within hours, the New Horizon changed course toward the Epsilon system, pushing its engines beyond designed limits. The other colony ships in the fleet received encrypted instructions to scatter and go dark out their prearranged protocol if any vessel was compromised. As the massive ship approached the unexplored system, the Tauri representative Lumen approached Wilson with an unexpected offer. We help, it said, its skin now glowing with determined blue pulses. We know space's council cannot follow. We guide. You'd help us? Wilson asked, surprised. Why? Humans fight. Tauri run. But running ends. Together, perhaps we both survive. With the Tauri's guidance, the New Horizon executed a series of navigational maneuvers that no council ship could track. Moving through what Lumen called fold spaces that existed alongside normal space but remained invisible to conventional sensors. When they emerged, they were deep within the Epsilon system, approaching a blue-green world that preliminary scans showed to be remarkably Earth-like. More importantly, they had shaved weeks off their journey time and completely evaded any potential council pursuit. As the New Horizon established orbit around what would become humanity's first true extrasolar colony, Wills. The gleaming spires of New Geneva rose against the purple-tinged sky of Haven, humanity's first colony world beyond council space. 10 years had passed since Captain Wilson had brought the New Horizon to this distant planet, and what had begun as a desperate landing site had flourished into the capital of humanity's growing presence in the stars. Ambassador Leon Park stood on the balcony of the diplomatic tower, watching ships from a dozen worlds move through the carefully controlled traffic lanes above the city. Her formal diplomatic robes were a blend of traditional Earth designs and practical adaptations for Haven's slightly higher gravity, rustled in the morning breeze. "They're here," announced her aide, a young man named Marcus Reed. "The Volari delegation has just entered orbit. Their ship is requesting landing clearance." Leon nodded, her expression revealing nothing of her inner tension. "Grant it, and notify the other representatives of the Fringe Alliance. This meeting could change everything." The Volari were the 7th non-human species to make contact with the expanding human colonies in what humanity now called the Fringe. The vast unexplored regions beyond council space. Like humans and the Tauri before them, the Volari had either fled council control or been deliberately excluded from the galactic community. Inside the great chamber of the Alliance Hall, representatives from all 7 species gathered around a circular table designed to emphasize equality. Humans sat alongside the iridescent Tauri, the silicon-based Lithids, the gravity-manipulating Araxians, the photosynthetic Florians, the hive-minded Gestalt, and now the newly arrived Volari. The Volari representative entered with a flourish of diaphanous membranes that served as both clothing and supplementary respiratory organs. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with 4 upper limbs and skin that shifted between deep blue and violet, the alien cut an impressive figure. "I am Speaker Toril," it announced in carefully practiced English. "The Volari Confederacy greets the Fringe Alliance with hope and caution." Leon rose to her feet. "Speaker Toril, I am Ambassador Park of Earth. On behalf of all Alliance members, we welcome you to Haven." The formal introductions continued around the table, each species greeting the newcomer according to their customs. When completed, Leon called the meeting to order. "Speaker Toral, you contacted us with information about council movements and the threat beyond the void. We are prepared to listen." The Volari's skin darkened to a deep indigo. What Leon had learned indicated seriousness among their kind. For 300 cycles, the Volari served the council as scouts and cartographers, Terrell began. "We mapped the regions the council claimed to protect, including the boundaries of what they call the aberration, but you know as the consuming." Holographic displays activated in the center of the table, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. A massive dark region pulsed at one edge, slowly expanding. 2 cycles ago, we discovered the truth, Toral continued. The Council has been feeding it, deliberately sacrificing outer worlds to slow its advance toward their core systems. Murmurs of shock and anger rippled through some representatives, though the humans and Tauri remained grimly unsurprised. When we presented evidence to the High Council, we were declared renegades. Our homeworld was quarantined just as Earth was, but we lacked your preparation. Half our population remains trapped there. Leon studied the Volari carefully. "And now you seek alliance with us. What specifically do you propose?" "Exchange," Terrell said simply. "We have detailed maps of all Council space defense systems and monitoring networks. We know their blind spots, their weaknesses. In return, we ask for your help liberating our people and protection against what comes from the void." The Gestalt representative, A cluster of interconnected organisms that functioned as a single consciousness spoke next. How can we trust this information? The Council is known for sending infiltrators. A valid concern, Leon acknowledged. Speaker Terrell, would you consent to a deep scan by our Tari allies? Their empathic abilities can verify your intentions. The Volari's membranes fluttered a sign of discomfort, but Toril nodded agreement. While the verification took place in a separate chamber, the Alliance representatives debated the implications of the Volari's claims. If their maps are accurate, said Admiral Cato, who had taken command of the growing human defense fleet, we could expand our trade networks without Council detection, even establish listening posts near their key worlds, or rescue other species trapped under their rule, added the Florian representative, whose leafy appendages rustled with excitement. 2 hours later, the Tari confirmed Toral's sincerity and the alliance was formalized. The Volari became the 8th member of what was now officially named the Concordat of the Fringe, a direct challenge to the Council's Galactic Concordat. In the months that followed, the intelligence provided by the Volari revolutionized the Concordat's understanding of galactic politics. Detailed maps revealed hundreds of inhabited worlds suffering under Council restrictions, potential allies who might join their cause if contacted. More critically, the combined scientific knowledge of 8 species working without Council restrictions led to technological breakthroughs that would have been impossible in isolation. In a classified research facility beneath New Geneva's surface, Dr. Alexei Volkov, who had been a junior assistant to Dr. West during the original Nexus shield development, now led a multi-species team combining their unique understandings of physics. The breakthrough came when we merged lithid crystalline computing with Araxian gravity manipulation. Volkov explained to Leon during her inspection tour. The Council kept these species separated for a reason, raised together. Their technologies create possibilities the Council themselves can't achieve. He activated a demonstration, a miniature version of an enhanced Nexus shield, now capable of not just defending against the Void Collective's energy patterns, but potentially pushing them back. How soon until we can deploy this at a planetary scale? Leon asked. 6 months for the first installation. We've already begun construction at the colony on Persephone. Leon nodded with satisfaction. The Concordat was growing stronger by the day. 27 colony worlds established, trade routes functioning and defensive technologies advancing beyond what the Council possessed. Humanity's exile had become the foundation of something greater than they could have achieved under Council oversight. That evening, as Leon prepared for a state dinner with the Alliance representatives, her secure communication terminal activated with an emergency override. Admiral Cato's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. Ambassador, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of the Arcturus system. Council signatures. Leon felt her stomach tighten. They found us? Not exactly. It appears to be a small scout force, not an invasion fleet. But that's not the concerning part. They're under attack. By what? Unknown vessels. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. They're consuming the Council ships. There's no other word for it. The implications were clear. The Void Collective has breached Council space. Yes, and from the communications we've intercepted, the Council is in chaos. They never expected it to advance this quickly. Leon made a rapid decision. Send a stealth observer. I want detailed recordings of these attackers. And convene an emergency session of the Concordat leadership. The situation has changed. The emergency session revealed more disturbing news. Not only had the Void Collective begun direct attacks on Council territories, but intelligence from Volari sources indicated sabotage from within the Council itself. According to our contacts, Speaker Toril explained, certain Council members have been secretly negotiating with the Collective. They believe they can preserve their own core worlds by directing the Collective toward others. Sacrificing their own allies, Leon said, disgusted but not surprised. Precisely. And we have evidence suggesting they intend to provide the Collective with detailed information about the location of fringe worlds, including Haven. The chamber erupted in outrage. The betrayal cut deep, even among species who had already suffered Council abandonment. Admiral Cato spoke forcefully over the commotion. This changes our timeline. The enhanced Nexus shield must be prioritized. All available resources, all scientific personnel. Agreed, Leon said, but we must also consider a more direct approach. Speaker Torel, your maps show the location of the Council's primary research archive on Centauri Prime. If we could access those archives. A raid on Centauri Prime? Cato looked shocked. That's deep in Council territory. Heavily defended? Yes, Leon acknowledged. But if the Volari intelligence is correct, their current focus is on the collective incursion. Their forces are being redirected to the front lines. The debate continued for hours, but ultimately the decision was made. A joint strike team would attempt humanity's first offensive action against the Council, not for conquest, but to secure the scientific knowledge that might save them all from the Void Collective. The mission was planned in absolute secrecy. A stealth vessel, combining human engineering with Tauri spatial distortion technology and Araxian gravity manipulators, was prepared. The team included specialists from 4 different species, each chosen for unique abilities that would be needed to penetrate the heavily secured facility. Commander Victor Reyes, a veteran of Haven. The command center of the Concordat Defense Fleet hummed with tense activity as holographic displays tracked the movements of both friendly and hostile forces across 3 sectors of space. Commander Marcus Okafor, his dark skin illuminated by the blue glow of tactical screens, studied the unfolding battle with eyes that had seen too much warfare in the 20 years since humanity's exile. Status report on the Persephone defense grid, he ordered, his voice carrying the authority of the fleet's highest-ranking officer. Lieutenant Amira Diaz responded without looking up from her station. Nexus shield at 62% capacity. Holding for now, but the collective is adapting to the frequency modulations faster than anticipated. And New Brighton? A grim silence fell over the command center. Finally, the Tory liaison officer Kelsor answered. We lost contact 17 minutes ago. Last transmission indicated shield failure and ground incursions. Okafor closed his eyes briefly. A moment of mourning for the colony of 80,000 souls. When he opened them again, his resolve had hardened. Redirect the 7th Fleet to reinforce Persephone. Order the evacuation of all civilian populations to the emergency shelters in the planet's southern continent. The settlement is lost, but we can still save the people. The massive view screen at the front of the command center shifted to show the ongoing battle. The Void Collective's ships uproars, if they could be called ships, defied conventional physics. They appeared as writhing masses of dark energy shot through with crackling purple lightning, constantly shifting form as they attacked. Against them, the Concordat vessels fought with desperate courage. Human destroyer-class ships provided heavy firepower, while the more agile Araxian cruisers used their gravity manipulation technology to create distortion fields that slowed the collective's advance. Tory navigators coordinated the fleet movements through fold space communications that even the collective couldn't intercept. Commander, called out the communications officer, incoming transmission from Haven. Ambassador Park is requesting an update. Put her through, Okafor ordered. Ambassador Leon Park's face appeared on a secondary screen, the years since the founding of Haven visible in the silver streaks through her dark hair and the deep lines around her eyes. Commander, what's the situation? We've lost New Brighton, Okafor reported bluntly. Persephone is under heavy assault but holding for now. The collective forces are larger than our initial estimates are, at least 3 times what we encountered in the Arcturus engagement. Park's expression remained composed despite the devastating news. And the new tactical approach? Showing promise. The modulating frequency disruptions are effective initially, but the collective adapts quickly. We need something more permanent. Dr. Volkov reports the primary Nexus generator will be online within 48 hours. If you can hold Persephone until then, we'll hold it, Okafor promised, though he knew the cost would be high. After the communication ended, Okafor turned to his tactical officer, a lithid named Krell whose crystalline body refracted the command center lights. Show me the analysis of the collective's adaptation. Patterns. The display shifted to reveal complex algorithmic models tracing the enemy's responses to various Concordat weapons and defenses. There, Okafor pointed to a recurring pattern. They adapt faster to technologies they've encountered before, but slower to completely new approaches. That suggests memory error, possibly a central intelligence coordinating the separate units. A hive mind, asked Strategic Officer Wei. Something similar, Okafor confirmed, and that gives me an idea. If they're connected, sharing information instantly across all units. He worked quickly at his console, developing a new battle plan that exploited what might be the collective's only weakness, its interconnectedness. Within hours, the Concordate fleet implemented what came to be known as Okafor's Gambit. The strategy was both brilliant and brutal. Concordate forces would intentionally sacrifice certain ships equipped with specially modified Nexus generators. When consumed by the collective, these generators would activate, creating cascading disruptions throughout the hive mind's network. The cost in lives would be tremendous, but the potential to save billions made it a necessary sacrifice. The first test of the strategy came at Persephone. 3 volunteer crews piloted vessels directly into the heart of the collective forces. When the ships were enveloped, the modified generators activated. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The collective entities convulsed as if in pain, their coordinated attack patterns dissolving into chaos. For precious hours they were vulnerable, and the Concordate fleet pressed the advantage, destroying dozens of collective vessels and pushing the remainder out of the system. Persephone was saved, though at a heavy cost. The victory celebration in Haven was tempered by memorial services for those who had sacrificed themselves to implement Okafor's strategy. In the aftermath, as the Concordate assessed their position and prepared for the next collective assault, disturbing news arrived from an unexpected source. A Council diplomatic vessel appeared at the edge of Haven's system, requesting permission to approach under a flag of truce. Okafor met Ambassador Park in the secure conference room as they prepared to receive the Council representative. This could be a trap, Okafor warned. Possibly, Park acknowledged. But the Council has never acknowledged our existence officially since the exile. For them to send a diplomatic mission now suggests desperation, or a trick to locate our primary world. Park shook her head. Our intelligence suggests they're in no position for offensive actions. The collective has pushed deep into Council space. Hilera's over 30 systems lost already. The Council representative who arrived was not what either of them expected. Rather than one of the ancient established species of the High Council, the emissary was Drela, the same Serpentine Council member who had been present at humanity's exile judgment 20 years earlier. Ambassador Park, Commander Okafor, Drell greeted them with a formal bow. I come on behalf of the Council Emergency Committee. Emergency Committee? Park questioned. What happened to the High Council? Drell's vertical pupils contracted slightly, a sign of distress among his kind. 3 of the 7 High Council members are dead. Their home systems were among the first consumed by the collective. 2 more have fled to unknown locations. The Council is fracturing. The revelation stunned both humans. For thousands of years, the High Council had been the immovable center of galactic governance. Why come to us? Okafor asked bluntly. Because you fight, Drell replied simply. When other species retreat or surrender, humans and your Concordate allies fight. And sometimes, you win. Drell activated a holographic projector, showing the current state of Council space. Nearly a third of their territory glowed red or lost to the collective. We need your Nexus shield technology. Without it, the remainder of Council space will fall within 6 standard months. Park and Okafor exchanged glances. Here was an opportunity they had never anticipated. The mighty Council coming to the exiles for help. And what do you offer in exchange? Park asked. An end to the exile. Full recognition of the Concordate as a sovereign power. Access to Council technology and resources. Not enough, Okafor stated firmly. Your Council created this situation by hiding the threat and restricting technologies that could have prepared the galaxy. Countless species have been sacrificed to the collective because of Council arrogance. What more could you possibly want? Drell asked, his composure slipping. The truth, Park said, about the human working in your containment facilities. About what the Council really knows about the collective, and about what's happening on Earth. Drell hesitated, then spoke with clear reluctance. The human was Dr. Eleanor West. She surrendered herself to the Council 3 years ago, offering her expertise on the Nexus shield in exchange for Council protection of Earth. West? Okafor was shocked. But she helped develop the Exodus plan. She believed in independence from the Council. She believed in survival, Drell corrected. When the collective breached the Sol system's outer defenses, she made a choice to work with the Council rather than see Earth fall. The Sol system was attacked? Park's voice was barely above a whisper. When? How? 17 months ago. A collective scout force penetrated the defensive perimeter Jupiter's moons had established. They were repelled, but Dr. West calculated that a larger attack would follow. She approached the Council in secret. The implications were staggering. Earth, which most concordant humans hadn't seen in 20 years, was under direct threat, and communications had somehow been blocked or intercepted, preventing knowledge from reaching Haven. Before they could process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the complex. Admiral Cato's voice came over the emergency channel. Multiple collective signatures detected entering the system. "This is not a drill. All defense forces to battle stations." Okafor was already moving. "How many?" "More than we've ever encountered. Hundreds of vessels, and they're not approaching from the expected vectors. They've somehow found a way through our early warning network." The attack on Haven had begun. The heart of the human-led Concordat was under direct assault by the largest collective force yet encountered. Within hours, the battle for Haven's survival raged across the system. The Concordat's defense fleet fought valiantly, but the galactic core blazed with the light of a million suns, casting an ethereal glow across the bridge of the Excalibur, humanity's most advanced battleship. Director Maya Reyes stood at the command console, her weathered face illuminated by the tactical displays showing both Concordat and Earth fleets converging on opposite sides of the massive void that had once been Council space. 30 years had passed since humanity's exile, and what had begun as punishment had transformed into the catalyst for the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever known. The Concordat now comprised 17 diverse species, each contributing unique perspectives and technologies to the fight against the Void Collective. "All vessels report ready." "Director," announced Fleet Admiral Jenna Wilson, daughter of the legendary captain who had led the first colony ships to Haven. "Earth forces are in position on the far side of the target zone." Maya nodded, her eyes fixed on the holographic display where hundreds of friendly signatures, representing millions of lives awaited her command. At 53, she had spent more than half her life preparing for this moment. As the architect of the enhanced Nexus technology, she carried the weight of not just humanity's future, but that of all sentient life in the galaxy. "Begin final systems check," she ordered. "The window for synchronized deployment will open in exactly 43 minutes. As the crew executed her orders with practiced precision, Maya retreated to her private tactical room where Admiral Thomas Rivera waited. At 72, Rivera had become a living legend. The man who had accepted humanity's exile with a secret plan that spanned decades. "Having second thoughts?" he asked as Maya entered. "Not about whether we should do this," she replied, studying the detailed schematics of the device that would either save the galaxy or fail catastrophically. But the calculations leave no margin for error. If the resonance cascade doesn't achieve perfect synchronization across both fleets, it will, Rivera assured her. Dr. West confirmed the mathematics herself before he paused. The loss still fresh. Eleanor West had died 3 months earlier, working until her final moments to perfect the weapon that now represented the galaxy's last hope. Her final message had been simple: finish what we started. A soft chime announced another arrival. The doors slid open to admit an unexpected visitor, Amar, Grand Arbiter Valxor of the former High Council, now one of the few surviving council members who had chosen to ally with the human-led forces, rather than retreat into isolation. "The Concordat Council has voted," Valxor announced, his once imposing frame now bent with age and strain. "All member worlds have ratified the Joint Defense Protocol. If we survive today, the new Galactic Alliance will be formally established with full equality among all member species." The irony wasn't lost on any of them. The very being who had pronounced humanity's exile 3 decades ago was now helping to ratify their leadership of a new galactic order. "Never thought I'd live to see this day," Rivera remarked with grim satisfaction. "Nor I," admitted Valxor. "My people ruled for 10,000 years, believing our wisdom superior to all others. Yet in 3 decades, humanity accomplished what we could not in millennia, uniting diverse species as true allies rather than subjects." "We had motivation you lacked," Maya pointed out. "When the only choices are adapt or die, humans tend to get creative." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Maya activated the communication panel to see Commander Okafor's face appear. Director, we've detected unusual activity within the collective forces. They're changing formation, consolidating rather than expanding. They sense the trap, Maya realized.
How long until they're fully prepared?
Unknown, but our window may be closing faster than anticipated. Maya made a rapid decision. Accelerate the timeline. All vessels move to deployment positions now. Notify Earth Fleet of the schedule change. As the massive fleet began moving into its final configuration, Maya joined Admiral Wilson on the main bridge. The view screen showed the true horror they faced. A vast, churning mass of dark energy punctuated by crackling violet lightning. What had once been council space was now a graveyard of consumed worlds. Their matter and energy feeding the ever-growing collective. Look there. Wilson pointed to anomalous readings at the heart of the collective mass. Those energy signatures. They're not random. That's a structure forming. Maya studied the readings with growing alarm. The collective had never before demonstrated the ability to create stable, organized structures within itself. This development suggested a frightening evolution. The chaotic consuming force was becoming something more directed, more intelligent. They're adapting faster than we predicted, she said. We can't wait. Launch the resonator probes now. Across the fleet, specially designed probes shot toward the collective, each carrying a component of the massive nexus matrix that would create the containment field. On the opposite side of collective space, the Earth fleet was launching identical devices. Director, called out the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission. From inside the collective. That's impossible, Wilson objected. Nothing survives collective consumption. Source verified, insisted the officer. It's using authenticated concordant encryption protocols. Maya exchanged a look with Rivera. Put it through. The image that appeared on the screen was distorted, fluctuating between static and clarity. But the face was unmistakably human, a man in his 40s with intense eyes and a scar running across his left cheek. This is Dr. James West, son of Eleanor West. If you're receiving this, there's not much time. The collective is aware of your plan. West had a son? Rivera whispered, shocked. He worked in deep cover research, Maya explained quickly. Officially listed as lost when the Arcturus station fell. How are you alive, James?
How are you transmitting from within the collective?
I'm not exactly alive in the conventional sense, West replied, his image flickering. When the collective consumed Arcturus, I was working on a neural interface prototype. It preserved my consciousness within their network. You've been inside the collective for 7 years? Wilson asked, horrified. Time works differently here. I've learned what they truly are. Not destroyers, but transformers. They don't just consume. They incorporate, evolve, and they're reaching a critical evolutionary threshold. The structure we detected, Maya realized. Yes, they're creating what I can only describe as a central nervous system. Once complete, they'll no longer be a collective of semi-independent entities but a singular consciousness with unprecedented power. How long do we have? Hours, not days. Your Nexus Cascade plan won't work now. They've already adapted countermeasures based on the knowledge they absorbed from consumed council worlds. The news hit like a physical blow. Months of planning, thousands of lives committed to a strategy that was now obsolete before it had even been deployed. Then what do you suggest? Maya asked, fighting to maintain her composure. I've created a backdoor in their emerging neural structure. If you can deliver the Nexus energy directly to these coordinates, I can channel it throughout their entire network simultaneously. No defenses, no adaptation. Total system collapse. That would require someone to physically transport the primary Nexus generator into the heart of the collective, Maya said slowly, understanding the implications. No unmanned vessel could navigate the dimensional distortions. I know, West acknowledged. That's why I'm sending you a navigational path that will allow one ship, just one Iris, to reach the target point. The room fell silent as the data transferred to their systems. What West proposed was effectively a suicide mission. Someone would need to pilot the Excalibur AU, carrying the primary Nexus generator AU, directly into the collective's core structure. I'll do it, Rivera said immediately. No, Maya countered. The fleet will need your experience if this fails. I designed the Nexus system. I should be the one to deliver it. Before the argument could continue, a massive shockwave rocked the ship. The collective had launched a preemptive strike, its leading edge lashing out with tendrils of dark energy that engulfed several outer vessels. We're out of time for debate, Maya declared. Admiral Wilson, you have command of the fleet. Keep them at safe distance but maintain the resonator probe network. When I reach the target point, activate the synchronized cascade from both fleets. Director, Wilson protested. At least take a team with you. No. The navigational path will only work for one ship, and every extra person is another life unnecessarily risked. Maya turned to Rivera. Admiral, if this works, you'll need to implement the new Alliance Charter immediately. Don't let the surviving Council worlds retreat into isolation again. Rivera clasped her arm in the traditional military farewell. 30 years ago, I told Vauxer he'd remember the day they exiled us. I never imagined it would lead to this. Perhaps exile was what we needed, Maya suggested, to see the galaxy with fresh eyes. Within minutes, the Excalibur separated from the main fleet, its course set directly for the heart of the collective. Maya piloted the vessel herself, following the quantum-encrypted path James West had provided. Around her, the fabric of normal space twisted and distorted as she penetrated deeper into the collective's domain. Through the view screen, she witnessed the true nature of what they had been fighting. The collective wasn't simply a destructive foe.